Wyatt. Congratulations on this film. Writer, director. Where did you find the inspiration for this film, this sci-fi thriller?
Sure. So there were two stages, really. It's the initial spark of the idea came from this moment when I was in the woods with my dad and it was snowing, and when it snows, it can absorb all the ambient sound, so it is eerily quiet in a way that you almost never hear. And I just remember suddenly feeling very vulnerable and imagined being watched from this tree line by some unseen person. And I looked up ahead at my dad in his old tattered coat and started imagining a guy patrolling the outskirts of his farm. Started thinking about what might he be guarding against. And by the time we got inside, I had basically the first half of the film up to the point where Jerry puts down the gun. And it hit me at a gut level. This is just dark. And which was a good sign, and also I think a good sign when a story tells itself. But it was only when I had the idea to set it on Mars that I felt, oh, this really actually has meat to it. This is a feature, and that was really because setting on Mars unlocked the both visual and thematic themes that were, I think, just brought it to a different level. That suddenly this family, they weren't just stuck in this place; they were effectively refugees and had fled Earth. And I just thought, okay, well, now there's more that we can explore here, and so I pursued it.
And then the film also covers several topics, like you said right now about refugee, and then also covers a family defending their child, a single mother defending her child, feeling like she's gonna do what she has to do just to keep her safe, physical violence, sexually. You covered quite a bit of topics there too.
So my wife, who is one of the producers on this as well, she said, I know you didn't sit down to write a political film, and I don't think this is a political film, but she said, you do need to acknowledge that you wrote this in the wake of the 2016 presidential election. That's when I started writing this. And you somehow managed to write a movie about the environmental collapse, resulting mass displacement of people, and sexual power dynamics. And I thought that was a good point.
In reality, in a situation like that, stuff like that does happen. There's no sugarcoating it. That's just part of reality.
Well, I think one of the advantages of working within genre, working in sci-fi or fantasy, where you are creating a world that doesn't exist, is that you can actually still engage with themes and topics that are very much current and relevant to our lives today, but in a way that doesn't end run around people's biases, because the places and the names and the faces are different. And it was, I think, a real advantage.
Let's talk a little bit about the characters. You had great cast, but how did you know when it came to casting who was going to play the young Remy?
So we had, this is back when it was just my wife and I, and we, our ambitions were a lot lower. And we said, wouldn't it be great if we could find a girl like Brooklyn Prince? And then got a call, basically, almost out of the blue, from a junior agent who had read the script at UTA, and he's like, who are you imagining for this? I really like this script, and sure enough, Brooklyn was a client, and she read it, and she and her parents really liked it, and suddenly things were off and running, and that was really the turning point when this became much more real.
What's it like directing a child and a story surrounded with all adults except for her?
Well, it helps that Brooklynn is wise beyond her years. You know, I kind of look up to her even, and she just is capable and in touch with her emotions in a way that, you know, a lot of us adults aren't either. And also she's got these incredible parents, Justin and Courtney, who can help her get into, you know, get to these places where she convinces herself that what she's experiencing is real. And I think working with a kid actor, you know, it is so important to have, it is a collaboration too with the parents, you know, and it's just so helpful to have such a supportive family around her to help her get, you know, to give this kind of performance. There were definitely moments where I'm on set just thinking like, oh my God, I just keep making this 9-year-old girl cry. What am I doing? But she was very game for that. You know, those scenes, especially those more harrowing scenes, you know, she really prepared for and took very seriously.
Another character that I didn't expect her storyline to go the route it went was Sofia's character. I love the fact that, even though for you as a writer, you made her super strong. She didn't victimize herself. How did you write that role?
So, you know, writing as a guy, trying to put yourself in the shoes of these women who are put in this situation by this man who you know, is taking advantage of his position of power. You know, I first of all, I looked at films where you have that, films like Fanny and Alexander, The White Ribbon, Ex Machina more recently. But I also leaned on female friends of mine and my wife, you know, just and the perspective they brought when reading the script. And, you know, a friend of mine who's a filmmaker as well, she was like, don't let Jerry off the hook so easily. You know, make him, or sorry, Remy off the hook so easily. Make Jerry more likable, to make that choice that much harder. And you know, because she's like reading these scenes that you've written, even if you don't realize what you've written. But, you know, I've been in this meeting before where you realize in this position where it's like, oh, this isn't, I thought this was a business meeting, and suddenly this is taking a turn into something creepy. And that was a really exciting thing for me to explore, as, you know, as a guy, but as the writer, trying to put yourself in the shoes of, you know, people who are experiencing something that I haven't.
Yeah. I feel like in a way there was a villain, but there was no villain, because of that nice gentleman persona that, in this case, Jerry portrayed the character.
Well, I think, yeah, for me, the villain is their isolation. You know, that is what they're all contending with. And so, yeah, Jerry, you know, he's doing what he thinks is right, or what he's convinced himself is right. And they all are to an extent. And I think, you know, that for me is what's interesting about a story like this, is when the stakes are so dire, when, you know, you're just struggling to survive, and, you know, in Sofia's case, like just trying to protect her daughter. What are you, where is that line? You know, what are you really willing to do? You know, how far are you willing to go to, you know, to survive and to protect the ones you love? I want people to come out of this thinking, what would I have done in that situation?
To finalize, I have to say another one of my favorites, and I think that's where I was like, I think my heart was like there for so much, was for Steve.
Yeah.
Wow, he's like a hero. You know who he kind of reminded me of? Wally.
Well, I just rewatched Wally the other day, and the what a character. I mean, I think every movie robot, you know, they're all so likable, and you try to find your own way. For us, it was about let the form dictate, let the function, his purpose dictate the design. And, he was a mix of VFX and puppet. And so there was just an enormous effort of coordinating between department collaboration to figure out what does he look like, how does he move, how do we convey a personality when he actually can't talk, which was very important to me, that he has no ability to even vocalize, in part because his arc is really one, it's almost the reverse of Hal, another famous movie robot, that is he capable of human compassion? That's a central question to the plot, or is he just, as Jerry says, a tool?
And it's funny how you had some characters kind of make a point, like kind of a reminder, he's not real. Like when one of the scenes, one of the cast members says, well, when the character says, he doesn't eat lunch, but we'll be here for lunch. So I love that. I love that you integrated a little bit of humor in there. It wasn't just all very serious, scary dialogue. So congratulations, Wyatt.
Thanks. You try to lighten it up where you can.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time, and congratulations on this film of yours. And I'm sure we will get to see more of your work in the future, right?
I will hopefully, fingers crossed. And thank you really for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. And it's been fun talking with you.